There's no doubt that I've released a lot of levels during 2.1's time frame. Some of them better than others, some ambitious, and some that just never got rated. My most recent level high point looks pretty different when you compare it to Haven, which was my second 2.1 level. Personally, as someone who creates levels, I think it's a good thing to look back at the progression that I've had. So today we'll be looking at every single level I've released in 2.1 while putting them into a tier list because I like that sort of thing. The list will range from A to F, with A being my most proud accomplishments and F being I should have done way better than that. I will be considering the level's release time since most of the levels will be in D or F if I would judge them based on my present standards. So without further ado, let's get going. I'm pretty sure at the time when I built this level, I had recently seen Blast Furnace because looking back, there's actually like a decent number of parts that look alike. Back then, my only rated level was Discovery, so I was pretty new to creating. Like the last part of the level isn't really like the best. With that in mind, and it being just a fairly derivative level, I'd probably put it in D tier. So Haven's actually my second 2.1 level. I'd say it's pretty basic for when it was released. The only reason it has 70,000 objects is because I had spammed glow all throughout the level, and the last part has almost 19,000 objects worth of glow stars. Overall, I think it's pretty all over the place, so I put it down in D as well. This was my second level to get rated, which was pretty nice, and it was actually like the start of my little Sir Hadoken-esque design era, which I thought was pretty funny. It uses pretty standard colors from back then, but I think he uses them like a little bit better than other levels that use them. There weren't really too many effects in the level, which brings it down a bit, but I'd still say it's a solid B tier. This was pretty much the spiritual successor to Arcade. It uses a song that I hadn't really seen in a long time, and I went with the same design style that I use in Arcade, but I added a decent amount of effects to make up for the prequel lacking them. I'd say it's still in B tier, just a little bit further up than Arcade. In Perplex, I started to try out some more vibrant colors like I did in Haven. It's pretty standard, and I still haven't really figured out how to organize things properly since there's a lot of overlapping details that should have been ordered better. My main drawback was that the drop is really dark. It's fairly difficult to see it properly, and it's just an unnecessary obstruction. I'd say this is probably our first C tier. I ended off 2017 with a pseudo-sequel to Perplex. Nothing really improved since, other than some small plot design choices. And the gameplay is pretty unforgiving, not really the most fun in all honesty. And since it's pretty similar to Perplex, and there weren't really too many improvements, it's still gonna go right next to its prequel. Rediscover was supposed to be a remake or a sequel of my first rated level, Discovery. It was, in essence. It unfortunately stayed the same quality as its predecessor. It also stays unrated, which lowers it down to our first F tier, simply because it was quite the Disney level of unfortunate sequels. This is the hardest level on my accounts, I think. I remember Novelboy actually really liking it for some reason, and him immediately sending it when I requested it in a level request stream. Other than that, I really can't say anything about this level. My bot designs did improve a bit, but I still decided to have some large black walls obstructing the screen, which just wasn't a good idea. I'd say it's a solid D tier. I remember this level taking a long time to complete simply because I was pretty bored when building it. It had the same background deco present throughout the entirety of the level just because I was lazy, I guess. Its quality kind of reverted back to like Perplex and Eternal, so it's going to be going down in C. This was my first level to get daily, which was pretty surprising. It was the first level I released where Ultimate DD-Bot was a thing, so getting that dual Discord notification for the rate and the daily was a pretty nice thing to see. I started to broaden the scope of the bot designs I used, and I'll use some present here in future levels coming up. I'd say for the nature of being my first daily and it being fairly decent, it's going up in A tier. This was originally Sir Dokken's level that he asked if I wanted to finish it, just because of the styles I used in Eternal and Arcade. The gameplay was all built by Hadoken, and most of the level was built by me deco-wise. If it was rated, I put it in C, but unfortunately stands unrated, so it's going to go down in D. My last level in 2018 was Monster. It was a level that I rushed to get out because I wanted to be the first one to use the song in a finished level. I released it November 21st, but it didn't actually get rated for 7 months. My first level to get epic, and it was also my second daily level, so that was pretty nice. With all these accomplishments aside, the level itself uses one of the styles I use in A New Dawn. I'd say the level falls off a bit in the drop, but the pre-jump is pretty solid. This is going to go into A tier. This level took a very long time to build for some reason. I'm pretty sure I noted somewhere that I started before Luminescent. Of all the levels of mine that didn't get rated, this is probably the one I was most surprised. I had hopped onto the bandwagon that a few creators such as True Logic went onto with the bot designs. Other than that, I'd say this is going to go into B tier. I can't remember what HLT stands for. I think it was something like hard level thing, which does not really make sense since it's rated insane. This was another level that I started way before its release. This one was originally going to be much longer and contain some Rafer-like coin routes. I shortened it to what it's now, simply because I'm pretty lazy. The drop part is also really messy, which brings it down to a C tier. This was the first level that I built when I was at college. I wanted to build something, but my laptop was pretty bad at running Geometry Dash, so I had to create something simple like this. It was supposed to be a throwback to late 2.0, early 2.1 design style, but it stands unrated, which isn't too surprising, so I'll put it in C tier. "2020 started off with my first modern level release. I wanted to try the style out, and I wasn't really too sure what the standards were, so this one was pretty simple. Other than that, I don't really have too much to say about it. I'd say it's going to D tier. Rise was another level that took forever to finish simply because I was working on other things. I'm pretty sure this took around 9 months to create from start to finish. Most of it is really standard stuff, but the only part that really sticks out to me even today is the last part. I just really like it for some reason. It's a C tier for me. This level was me trying to branch out to another style that wasn't my standard style present in the last few levels. I really like what I went for, I just wish I kept the execution that the beginning had throughout the rest of the level. The drop's quality falters quite a bit, and if it was consistent throughout, it would be an easy A tier, but unfortunately it does not stay consistent, so it's going to go into B tier. The only reason this level exists was because of Dewdrop at Tumis. I saw that level and I was pretty much like, yeah, let me make something like that. I upgraded my color choices a bit in this level, and the designs were a bit cleaner. For some reason, people hated the fact that there was an upside down wave in a 3-star level, which I still think is pretty funny. It's a pretty simple level that didn't take much time, so it's going into B tier. This level was just me doing what I thought looked decent at the time. It was also after I first met Slay, which is why the middle section is me trying to do his style. The design at the drop was what I thought was my best at the time, so I'd say this is going to B tier. This was my biggest level to date. I had poured my heart into it just for it to not get rated, which I can see why. First of all, it has 160,000 objects, which is pretty absurd considering its quality, and the gameplay can be a bit buggy at sometimes just because of bad hitboxes. I don't really have much else to say about it. It's kind of a disappointing level, so it's going into D tier. I'd say I ended up 2020 with a bang. Lion was my most downloaded level, and it still is. It was supposed to be rated 9-star, but I'm kinda glad it got rated Demon because my first rated Demon, my first weekly Demon, and it was also the last weekly Demon of 2020. The level is kind of all over the place in terms of style, So much in fact that when Viper played the level on stream, he and Panman thought that the level was a mega collab. I'd say it's A, mainly for its accomplishments. Another level that I thought was my best at the time, to not get rated. And another level where it's all over the place in terms of style. I really don't have much to say about it, other than that it's going into the D tier. After creating 3 demons in a row, I decided to take a step back and create a simple design level. I like what I did with the styles that I used. I even put rainbow blocks in the last section just because I'd never really used them before. I'd say for it being a simple design level that I just built for the heck of it, it's pretty decent, and it'll be going to the B tier. This was probably my most ambitious level at the time. I'd never really done anything in this artistic style before. It was obviously inspired by Emerald Realm, specifically Destriv's part. There are some things in this level that could be improved, like the parallax in some cases, and the optimization. But for me, it's going all the way to the top. I built this level only for the resurgence of medium length levels getting rated. It was a bit of a throwaway, but some of the designs I used were pretty decent at the time. Its quality varied from part to part, which brings it down to C tier. After doing Shine, I wanted to take another shot at the nature theme I established in Enchanted Adventure. Here I switched it up and took a winter environment. I also managed to keep it under 40,000 objects, which is a huge improvement compared to Enchanted Adventure's 92,000. The execution here is a lot better and the parallax is more correct. For those reasons, it's going right into A next to Enchanted Adventure. Ending off 2021, I decided to move back to making a demon level. Here you can see the execution start to ramp up. While my ideas have always been simple, even in high points, the execution has started to get much better starting with this level. It wasn't until I started building the part where I wanted the meteor impact theme to come into play. It was initially just going to be a regular design level, but I'm pretty glad with the way I took it. I'd say this goes into A tier. I didn't release this level until June because I was building in so many Mega Collab parts. In fact, I only released 3 levels each of these next 2 years because of Mega Collab parts. This level contains a lot of design styles I wanted to try out, and I'd say the quality is pretty consistent throughout. I feel like it's one of my best levels overall, so it's going into A tier. This level was the result of playing Thumper by Nico99. It was also the result of the fall semester starting up and my laptop's capabilities. I'd never done Codex style before, and it was actually pretty fun to build. It was also fairly quick, which led me to enjoying the build process more. I can't really think of any reason it shouldn't go into B tier. As stated in the level's description, I initially wanted to do something with the stage visuals for this song. Deciding to do my own thing was probably a little bit of a better choice. This was also probably my most optimized level. Everything leading up to the drop was only 9,000 objects. I thought the drop portion was the best part of the level decoration wise, and the boss fight at the end was something I decided to implement because I'd never really done anything like that before. It's a solid A for me. Don't ask me why I named this level Terry, I'm not really sure. This was just me messing around with some design styles while keeping the main color green. It was also me trying to get a 9-star since that was the last rating I needed except for auto and some higher demon difficulties. The quality is pretty consistent, and it uses a song that I'm surprised was not used before. A definite B tier for me. I'll go ahead and admit that this level's existence was because of Silent Acropolis. I saw that preview and once again I was like, yeah, I want to do something like this. This is probably the most I've paid attention to small details, but while it's not perfect, it's pretty solid for me. This level also birthed the optimization technique that I use for keeping my background's low object count. It's a solid A for me. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen this level. It was initially going to be a spin-off of Unlimited and Lockdown by AP Strom and Danger Cat, but I decided to take in the direction that I took it in, and personally I think it was a better choice. It took me around 182 hours to build, which is the longest anything has ever taken me in Geometry Dash. I initially had a fear that I was not going to keep the quality the same because of the high bar that I set with the first part. I'm pretty glad I was able to pull through and make this a solid A tier level. So that was the journey through every level I released during 2.1's time frame. I'd say looking back, I'm really proud of my improvement as a creator. Going from one with barely any knowledge in making original works and picking good color schemes, to releasing levels like High Point, I definitely had a dramatic increase in my skills. So I was actually in the middle of editing this video when 2.2 released, which was really surprising to me. I've already released 2 levels, and I might do something similar to this video at the end of 2.2 if there's another dramatic improvement like I had in 2.1. But only time will tell.